JT, we're rolling today. Thank you, Ari, for getting me the World Cup. Do you know the greatest players in the world, are playing soccer today in the United States? Hala for Norway, who's one of the greatest players in the world from Man City. Mbappe of France, and the greatest soccer player of all time, Lionel Messi. Messi of Argentina. Let me bring that up here. Welcome into the show. We are live on multiple platforms, including Raider Nation Radio in Vegas on 920 a.m. We are live on YouTube, where I would appreciate it if you would subscribe for free and watch the show live to see what shirt I'm wearing today. How the hair looks okay. Didn't shave today, but you get into the show. You can watch it on your phone. You can even watch it when you're driving. You can see the show. All you got to do is go to YouTube, put in JT the Brick, and subscribe for free. And we're trying to build that, and we're at a pretty good number now of really good engagement of people that actually listen, not bots. People we're buying, really good people. We call them the bricklayers. They're here already. So you should be in here every day before noon when you get the alert on YouTube. We would appreciate that. Also, the Las Vegas Sports Network, lvsportsnetwork.com. So we got a lot to get to today. I have several guests who are going to join us in an array of all different sports, from U.S. Open golf to what's happening here in Vegas with some breaking news with the Golden Knights. And we're going to fly through the show. And I just got off the phone right before the show started with famed linebacker Phil Villapiano. He's going to join us on Thursday for the first half hour of the show on his new book, Just Tackle, which is fantastic. Got it in the mail. He signed a beautiful note to me. I do collect books. I have a library in my house of a bunch of books, some really good books, legendary books. I haven't read most of them, but I read a lot of them. The Dirt by Motley Crue. You know, a lot of good books that you wouldn't think I would have ever read. I read them, and they're in my library, and some of the most accomplished books that I own were signed by Bert Sugar, Jim Otto, Phil Villapiano. You go down the list, and I really like that, and Phil sent me a nice note, so we'll thank him on the air on Thursday. Again, France is about to take off right now at MetLife Stadium. You're not allowed to call any of these stadiums their name. It's FIFA. But Mbappe of France is arguably the greatest player in his prime in the world, and he is playing right now. So the whole world, all of Europe, is watching the World Cup. The whole world does not watch the Super Bowl. The whole world has no interest, some in baseball. You know, if you got Ohtani in the World Series, you're going to get Japan, and you're going to get the United States and some Canada, maybe some Mexico, but the whole world is watching the World Cup. The country of Senegal and France are going up against each other now, and every cafe in Europe, and especially France, has the World Cup on all day. And that's a big story. If you're interested in the World Cup, call me over the next couple of weeks. I'm going in 2 weeks. I'll be in L.A. for it. I'm excited to take my younger son, who's a soccer head. He loves it. He's a Man United fan. And, man, he knows everything about this sport. He loves it. And I like it, too. I'm obviously rooting for the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to this country every day. I never have an off day with America. I'm pure American, but I also root for England. You might say, why? Because I've been watching English soccer my whole life. Harry Kane, my Tottenham, back in the day. So I root for England, and you know, I like Messi, and I like Ronaldo at Portugal. And I always bring this up, is that there's a lot of people in my business in media who are fearful of the World Cup. They're scared. They're scared. They got to wear Depend diapers when they go on the air. God forbid anybody calls in on the World Cup, because they don't know crap about it and they won't do their homework. So imagine having a job like me and being a sports talk radio host. I actually have a business card that says that, Colin. I'm a certified sports talk radio host. Can you imagine someone calling me with a NASCAR question or a soccer question or something, and I didn't know the answer? I might not know the answer perfectly, but I understand sports. We are entering a time in your young career, Colin, who's in for Clay this week, week that people on the radio avoid topics like hockey, NASCAR, and the World Cup. What do you think of that? Your microphone's not on there. There we would go. We got to get your microphone working.
Hey, we're still working out the kinks here. But
gotcha.
Like you said, these young guys, I couldn't imagine it. I grew up where it didn't matter what time of the year it was. There was always some type of sport going. My dad was a big baseball player, so I always got to enjoy that spring and summer with him.
Wow.
And then I got to play football throughout a big majority of my life. And I just, throughout the fall, winter, there was always something.
Yes.
So just to not be in that loop, to not feel it, you couldn't be in a business like this.
Yes, you can't be, and that's the point I wanted to make during the monologue, brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo. You're seeing Modelo all over the world during the World Cup. Modelo, proud partner of our show. You know, you get to a point this time of year where I came up with the term. I did. You won't believe what I'm about to tell you. I didn't come up with Raider Nation. Raider Rob did, but I came up with Niner Empire. I never got a fee from the Niners for that. That was a big thing in the Bay. We did a Battle of the Bay, Raider Nation, Niner Empire. But I did about 25 years ago come up with the term the dead zone. And I want to welcome everybody today officially to the dead zone of sports radio. What that means is simply this. It's the time after the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Final where the NFL is off. This is a mandatory vacation for the NFL. The coaches know, administrators are working, but the players now have their only vacation of the year where they're allowed to go to Cabo. They're allowed to do whatever they want to do. They're off until mid-July when they have to report what we call training camp. So unless a player gets arrested, a DUI, does something stupid, there's not a lot of NFL news. There's just not. So I call this the dead zone because we got to work through it. And I don't do top 10 chicken wing joints, and I don't do top 10 sports movies of all time. I'm not that guy. I talk sports every day. Today's a tough day. I got 6 hours today. Oh, God forbid. It's not like I'm a firefighter. Imagine if I was a firefighter or I was putting out electric fires, right? That would be a tough job. I'm doing 6 hours today without a co-host, which is a badge of honor. And I'm going to talk for 6 hours, 4 tonight on Mad Dog, 2 today. And it's the slow time of the year. So I'm going to introduce World Cup. We're going to introduce more baseball. We're going to introduce some other topics because we have to do sports talk year-round. Get some time off here in the summer. I found out today that I'll be the MC for the Raiders Draft Class Luncheon with Fernando Mendoza and a couple of other really good players. I've been doing that every year since the Raiders have come. It's at Allegiant Stadium on Monday, and it's going to be pretty cool. Washington Jr., Crawford, Stukes, and Mendoza. So if you're attending that, that's going to be great. That'll be Monday coming up here. So that's where we start off the show here. World Cup underway. France, Senegal, no score. But the breaking news in Vegas today is John Tortorella is not back as the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights after taking the Vegas Golden Knights at the very end of the season to the Stanley Cup Final, 2 games away from winning the Cup. I am not shocked by this news. A lot of people don't get it. How does the coach not come back? Well, I don't know the answer to that. And you're not either, because they're not going to tell you. Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee and Mr. Foley are really good at their job. All they do is win. All the Knights do is win. So they don't have to sit here in front of the fans and tell you why they do everything. Just get in line and listen to them because they've been delivering a world-class organization with championship pedigree. They already got a Stanley Cup. They've lost 2. But why would John Tortorella be out? The same reason why Cassidy's out, the former head coach. Hockey coaches wear on their players. They wear them down. And after a while, the players don't want the coach anymore. But that wasn't the case with Torts. Torts did a really good job. He backed off. He said, look, you guys are really good. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to coach you hard when I need to, but I'm going to tell you how great you are, and I'm going to encourage your greatness to go out and play at the highest level. And he did that, and he delivered. John Tortorella took this franchise as the head coach at the end of the year with 7 games remaining, got them to the finish line, and then got them into the playoffs, and they went to the Stanley Cup. And they had the lead in the Stanley Cup. Really disappointing that they didn't win. So earlier today, we found out that they're going in another direction. Maybe they have a coach in mind that they want to do, someone younger, someone in the organization, whatever they want to do. We'll find out about it when they're ready. But let's wish John Tortorella well today. That's what you do in a sports radio town. That's what you do in Detroit, in Boston, in Philly, in New York. And we need to do a better job in Las Vegas with a big topic today. We are the breaking news story in all of the NHL today in Vegas. We got rid of the head coach. We technically didn't fire him. We're just not bringing him back. So why is that? I don't know. I really believe, here's my theory. I believe this, is that in order for him to come back, he's got an agent. You got to give him a minimum of a 2-year deal. 2 years. And he might not make it a year. And you got to pay the second year because it's guaranteed money. Maybe Mr. Foley and McCrimmon and George McPhee are like, he's not going to be here another 2 years. He's getting up here in age. We only want him for another year. We're not going to give him 2 years. So let's just move on. I don't know, but that could be it. This could clearly backfire for the Golden Knights, as Big D just put it in my chat on YouTube. Of course it can. You know how impossible it is to get back to the Stanley Cup? They've been there 3 times in 9 years. Whoever the new head coach is going to be will not have high odds to get back to the Stanley Cup. But the good thing about the Vegas Golden Knights is they have an Olympic all-star team. They just ran out of gas. At the end of the year, at the wrong time, and Carolina jumped them, got more physical, and beat them, and it's a shame. But they got to the final, and we should give John Tortorella a lot of respect for getting there. If you'd like to talk about this in this hockey town, I mean, we're a hockey town, right? I know I've been pulling teeth, but we are a hockey town. The other building, where the other studio where they do hockey, it's dark at noon.
I'll tell you what, you see a lot more VGK jerseys these days than you're seeing Raiders.
You do. But in this building, the hockey studio's dark at noon. No one hosting a show there, which is fine. They do a great job. And they kind of go dark in the offseason other than some specialty shows. I'm the only show at noon in Las Vegas that's talking hockey. And the coach isn't coming back. So let's get some hockey fans in here, 702-365-9200. Here's Shea Theodore and Noah Hannafin as they were at the exit press conference earlier today, their comments on Torts.
Or with the news of the day, just your thoughts on Torts not coming back and just overall having him for the last 3 months. What was that experience like?
I kind of found that out this morning. I mean, Torts is awesome. I think he was really what our group needed at the end to kind of push us into playoffs. And a lot of credit to him. He was a fantastic coach. Obviously, he's been around for a long time, and it was fun to be able to meet him, be a part of him for sure.
Yeah, I would agree for sure with what Shea said. Obviously, it's a tough situation for a coach to come in with that little time left, and just the way he was able to kind of, get us back on the right track fast and give us a chance was pretty impressive. So, nothing but respect for Torts. Obviously, going through the Olympic process with him and stuff, just getting to know him over the year was awesome. All
right, so that's a pretty big deal. Remember, Tortorella was a part of the Olympic team. Okay, he was a part of the Olympic team. Let's not forget that, the gold medal Olympic team. So the guy's had an unbelievable career. Really would have been nice. It would have been tremendous if he won the Stanley Cup. Because if he won the Stanley Cup, I think the parade would have been this week, right? They would have won the Stanley Cup. We would have had the parade, I don't know, Thursday or Friday. And that would have been great. And John Tortorella would have been on the bus at the front of the parade, and I'm pretty sure he would have been back. I'm pretty sure he would have been back if he won the Stanley Cup. So if you're a Vegas Golden Knight fan, if you have a conspiracy theory, if you have a reason why Torts is not back and you are a hockey savant, let me know at 702-365-9200. I keep reminding you in the summertime, Raider offseason, the show started 14 minutes ago. It doesn't start 20 minutes from now. I always got to keep this thing. I'm like a conductor on the train telling everybody the train left. The train left the station. Your wife's not getting on the next stop. All right, we're going here. Follow me. Follow my energy as we get going there. People want Raider news. JT, what do you got for Raider news? I just put it out here in my show tweet when I put it out for YouTube. This is the summer of Kirk Cousins. What? Yeah, I believe this is the summer of Kirk Cousins. And what I mean by this is that All indications are that Kirk Cousins will most likely be the starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. He was paid an enormous amount of money, not bank-breaking, but a lot of money, paid for by his former team and new money here to be the quarterback. He's not a backup quarterback unless he doesn't play well. So Kirk Cousins will be the lead singer, the lead guitar player for the Las Vegas Raiders through this entire offseason. He knows it, so he's not letting up. This guy is a workaholic, just like Max Crosby, just like Fernando Mendoza, just like everybody. The Raiders have tremendous work ethic. They weren't very good last year. They only won 3 games. You never heard one complaint about the work ethic under Pete Carroll, not one, or the work ethic of the coaches. Even the ones that got fired, some of them weren't very good, but the team worked hard. I mean, they worked under Robbie Leonard on defense. Okay, they worked hard. So the work ethic is there. But the thing for Kirk Cousins, in my humble opinion, is this. I usually get out of the way. I get out of the way and prepare for the preseason and go to practices when I'm not on the air live and we're in the building for a lot of this, is I let it play out. I'm not a guy that's going to sit there every day and go, oh, my God, I'm scared. Who had a better practice? Oh, my God, he had a better practice. He might start. Oh, my God, he might not play. He had a better practice. Never been that guy. Never have been. It doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't work. We just came off 3 wins. You think I was going to cry last year if someone had a bad practice? 2 years ago, I was in Costa Mesa, California, seeing some of the worst practices in the history of the Raiders. Worst practices I've ever seen. Max Crosby blew up every practice. The ball could not be thrown or caught. Devontae left. His wife was pregnant, having a baby. Everybody's hanging out in Costa Mesa, and the ball could not be forward passed, and no one could catch a ball. I didn't panic. But I told you, practices don't look that good. This year, everything changes with Clint Kubiak. He is meticulous with his preparation, dating back to his father, a former quarterback, a head coach that won a Super Bowl, growing up with John Elway in his kitchen, one of his dad's best friends. He's been through every practice in multiple cities with head coaches. He just came off a Super Bowl. This will be meticulous. But last year, I told you, Pete Carroll's practices are supposed to be pretty good. Remember competition Thursday or competition Tuesday? Coach came in studio, gave me a competition shirt. It's all about competing, right? How'd that work out? It just didn't work. Really bizarre. Really trippy when you look back at how that didn't work under Pete Carroll. I mean, he's got books and journals in his office of every practice he's ever scripted to win Super Bowls and championships, and it didn't work in Las Vegas. Why? Well, he didn't have the players. He had a lot of injuries. He shouldn't have hired his son for the offensive line. There are a lot of things that didn't go right. But we wish Coach Carroll well. He's a legendary human being, great football coach. It didn't work here, and we wish him well. Oh, and Gino. And Gino, they were tied to Gino. The coach and the quarterback were tied like father and son. Mistake. They both got sent out of town. And again, I have nothing bad to really say about Gino. He played poorly. We covered all that. So what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins? I don't know. I think Kirk Cousins is going to keep the job because as I've talked to people on and off the record on this topic, Kirk Cousins is so far advanced in the Clint Kubiak playbook, he has a PhD in it going back to Minnesota. There is nothing in that playbook that Kirk Cousins hasn't mastered. So run it perfectly in practice, ran it perfectly in the game, knows it inside out. You can wake him up in the middle of the night in a dead sleep and call a play and he can give it to you. So he's got the advantage. So I was listening to a national show this morning, and they brought up the topic, Mendoza, how do you draft him number 1 and you don't play him? I'm kind of in that camp. I've always been in that camp. I'm not going to switch. I was always in the camp. You take a quarterback number 1, not number 4, not number 5. You take him number 1, you start him. I've always been in that camp. I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm wearing the Raider logo. I'm not going to die on that hill and scream every day from the studio, it's got to be Mendoza. No, it doesn't. It's going to be what this coach wants to do. So another buddy called me from Buffalo. He's coming out from the Buffalo game. Oh, boy, get ready for that. There's already 7 watch parties for the Bills fans who can't get tickets and are going to have casino watch parties in Vegas like the World Cup. Get ready. I'm on the front line of that story. No one knows this story better than me. The Bills Mafia is coming. They are coming at such an alarming rate. They're not even looking for tickets. They know they can't get tickets. They're like, we can't get tickets, but we got to be there. It's going to be like Scotland outside of a game at the World Cup. We don't have money for tickets, but we're going. So what are you going to do? You're going to throw Fernando in the Bills game? What are you going to do? Throw Fernando in the Rams game? Well, you might have to. I don't predict injuries. Don't want anybody to get hurt. But if Kirk Cousins gets nicked up, you better believe Fernando's going to come in. I think he comes in over Aiden O'Connell. And I don't have the future of Aiden O'Connell. He's a great young man. Aiden's great. Don't know what to tell you on Aiden, if he's going to make it. Are they going to move him? If a quarterback, I mean, how is Aiden O'Connell not the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals and Jacoby Brissett is holding out for $4 million? How is Aiden O'Connell not the starting quarterback for the Jets over Geno Smith, and he's better than Geno Smith? So I don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback, but the quarterback room here now, from all accounts, is very strong. I mean, that meeting room is sick. In that meeting room, you got Fernando Mendoza, who just got his degree from Cal, a national championship and a Heisman. Aiden O'Connell, who is an A-plus character player and has won games for the Raiders. And you got Kirk Cousins, one of the better veterans out there. So when I say this is the summer of Kirk Cousins, what I mean by this is Kirk Cousins is in control of his destiny. He's in control. He can play as long as he wants if he wins. We got no games to talk about, everybody. It's June. We're not even near July. It's 105 today when I walked the dog, 105. I'm like, we're not going to sit here and debate. We don't have a practice. There are going to be days where Cousins throws a pick or two, and Mendoza comes in and he looks great. And Raider fans are going to be at practice going, oh, my God, we got to get Mendoza in. That'll be a good day to do a show. That might be a good day. People will be calling in, going crazy. I won't have to wait for 22 minutes to get a phone call. People will call in and say, JT, I was at practice today, and Mendoza outplayed Cousins. And I'll take your phone call that day, but we got nothing until then. We just got a depth chart. What I have in front of me is a depth chart of the positions of the Raiders. Someone asked me in the chat if I'm nervous about Jackson Powers-Johnson. What? What am I nervous about? I know the kid pretty well. I see him around. Every year he's got to compete. Every year he's got a player who wants his job. Every year he's been in the league. I thought he should have started at center. He didn't. I thought he should have started at guard and been left alone. He didn't. And this year I think he's a starter right now, but I could be wrong. He's got to compete. So no one's nervous. No one's scared. But the Raiders did one thing this offseason, led by John Spytek and his scouting department and everybody behind the scenes, the executives there. They went out and got you 7 new starters. 7. If they only got us 3, Raider Nation, we were screwed. We were dead. If they went out and said, look, we're waiting for another year. We got Mendoza. We're going to spend some money, but we're going to wait for another year to go get a really big free agent class, get our number 1 receiver, make a big trade. We know what we'd be doing this year, right? We'd be going through a growth process of rebuilding, a word that I don't use. Sorry, I just used it, but I don't use it. I just said it. We don't have to worry about that now because John Spytek with Tom Brady, Mark Davis, new ownership said, no. We got the best stadium in sports. We got the number 1 stadium in sports. We host Super Bowls. We host AC/DC, BTS. We got revenue coming in. We want to win. But no one's saying we have to win right now. We don't have to win the Super Bowl. But anybody who doesn't think this team has to win doesn't understand the sport of football. Let me repeat this so my son can clip this in 3, 2, and 1. Anyone who doesn't understand that the NFL is a football business where you have to win doesn't understand the sport. You are required to win by ownership every year. As many games as possible, and if you don't, you'll be reevaluated, fired, or cut. So don't give me this crap in June about this 2-year, 3-year plan. The 2-3 year plan is the same as it was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and throughout the 2000s. Win, just win, baby. Now, some years you're going to have a tank year. You just didn't play well. Last year was on the Mount Rushmore of the worst seasons in Raider history. I believe last year was on the Mount Rushmore of the worst seasons in Raider history. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. That's not going to happen again. Even the gamblers will tell you, the bent noses, the bookies, the degenerates will even tell you, man, that doesn't happen like back-to-back years unless you're the Jets. So what's going to happen is the Raiders are going to have kind of a resurgence when it comes to talent, coaching, and all that. The schedule is brutal, as in capital B, brutal. There's nowhere to hide with this schedule. Week 13 bye week. I was gone last week because of the bye week. I'm like, I can't see my mom and dad until after Thanksgiving. I'm like, whoa, we don't have a Monday night game, a Thursday night game? I can't sneak away on a red eye? No, we're Sunday, man, 105 or 120. That's it. So Raiders got to figure this summer out. I think it'll be the summer of Kirk Cousins. Because as much as I want to see Mendoza start week 1, it looks like it's going to be Kirk Cousins. And he'll have the opportunity to keep that job as long as there are W's next to your Raider magnet refrigerator schedule that we all have on our refrigerator, our Raider schedule, where my wife is able to pencil in win, W, or L. So last year, every time I went to the fridge, I was just looking at L's. I was like, take that magnet off the fridge. I want to see some W's. And that's the monologue brought to you by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. Boys brought it home. Boys just brought it home. The buttery Texas toast, the coleslaw, the chicken fingers, unbelievable. I have 2 sons who are Caniacs. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love. If you'd like to participate in the show, we would like to hear from you at 702-365-9200. No score with France and Senegal. 22 minutes in, a lot of these underdog teams, these teams that have no shot, are playing well. You know, Spain didn't score a goal. They had a goose egg. They got a tie. Senegal is on the offensive here against France. What's going on here? If you're a World Cup fan, I'd like to break the seal and get a World Cup fan to call, or are we not allowed to talk about that in Vegas too? 702-365-9200. Next 2 guests are our regulars. Alex Eschelman will join us. She was at the UFC fight in D.C. Wow. She was at the UFC fight in D.C., and she covers the Golden Knights and the Raiders. And then Jeff Sherman will join us coming up here, the great casino bookmaker, Jeff Sherman, coming up on the other side. He'll give us the moving odds for the U.S. Open if you like to bet golf, or if you want to bet the World Cup, or he'll tell you about the Knicks and how much money bettors won on the Knicks. JT fired up today. I got a 6-hour day on the radio. I'm 30 minutes into it. And I got tremendous passion and energy. And you should too. Let's get this going.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by The Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
Gino's under center with Ashton Genty behind him. Tyler Lockett split out wide left. Bowers and Thomas to the right. Gino's going to roll right. His eyes towards the back of the end zone. He dumps it. Genty at the goal line. Touchdown, Raiders. Gino on a 4th and 2 found Ashton Genty right at the goal line. Deuce in the end zone. And with 5:11 to go, the Raiders not done yet. It's 24-9 Cleveland.
That's Jason Horowitz, who we need to catch up with. Alex Eschelman will join us in a moment. JT, back with you. We're brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get into an accident and you get injured, that's well, the brothers win, brotherswin.com. Ruben from Vegas on 920. What's going on, Ruben? What's happening?
As a Spurs fan, congratulations on the Knicks winning the championship. They wanted it more. Mm-hmm. And another thing, JT, it's hot out here. You mentioned you walked your dog this morning, 105. I hope you have booties for your dog.
Well, I walked my dog earlier than that today. I worked there. He hung up on himself, so I don't know why. I don't know why anybody could be so disgraceful as a caller to hang up. I don't understand that. I mean, now you're there. Good. It dropped. That's on me. I walked my dog at 7 this morning. So I walked my dog when it was about 90, but my dog is good. Thank you. What's on your mind?
No, just really quick on the Knights. I don't know names per se, but I heard that they want to keep a coach from the minor leagues that's been doing pretty good, that's been on the staff for 1 year. They won the cup.
Yep.
So from what I'm hearing, the chatter is that they want to maybe they want him, so that's why they're maybe going to promote him. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, and that's really appreciate the call. Thank you for the time. That is a direction that they can go in. And I believe that that's not the right place to go at this time. If they do it, I'll get behind it. But I think that they need another veteran coach, someone who could connect with a veteran team. So when you look at John Tortorella not being here and not coming back, there are other options here. And as the coaching search begins, we're going to have Gary Lawless on and a couple other insiders to talk about this coming here. Going from the Silver Knights and taking someone from a lower league to do that is bold. I just think from watching this team with Gerard Gallant and what they did initially with Peter DeBoer, who I think was a hell of a coach, and then Bruce Cassidy, I think that this team, a veteran-based team, needs a veteran coach. And needs a coach who can win now and take this team back to the cup. Appreciate it. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle it, because all the decisions that they've made over the 9 years of this franchise and even before as they built this franchise have been really sharp. They've been really good decisions overall, and I think they're going to make a good one here. This is one of the rare times in sports that I say if you're able to just trust the organization because they've won so much, this is a good time to trust the organization because they've won so much. You know, I didn't have that trust in Mike Brown. Mike Brown with the Knicks, I didn't think he deserved the job with the Knicks. I was wrong. They trusted Mike Brown. He won a championship. Alex Eschelman, who covers the Golden Knights, the Raiders, just got back from USC. She's kind enough to join us, and you've been all over the country in the last couple of weeks. I want to start with John Tortorella. Not shocking to me. I'm assuming not shocking to you that he's out. How do you see it?
Well, first of all, JT, thank you for having me on the show. Yeah. As you were introducing me, I heard you mentioned Mike Brown, and I just have to congratulate you on your Knicks. That was incredible. Mike Brown, as a Sacramento Kings fan, I was shedding a little tear watching him win. I'm so happy for him, but selfishly, as a Kings fan, heart is broken, but that's par for the course when you're a Sacramento Kings fan. So it's fine. Maybe we'll have a better year next year. Anyway, let's get back to John Tortorella. No, I don't think it came to a shock for really anybody. JT, I was in the room this morning for the start of the final locker room clean out exit interviews. And, you know, people had nothing but nice things and good things to say about him. Shea Theodore sang his praises right off the top of exit interviews with the media. I wasn't able to stick through the entire rest of the day. Had other things to get to, but my counterpart, Taylor Rocha, has the story on that all day long. And, yeah, I don't think it came to a terrible shock, but, man, what an amazing run he had with the Vegas Golden Knights, and it's incredible to see what he did in terms of changing things and turning things around in a hyper-fast rate.
Yeah, it was I don't call it a panicking move. Alex Eschelman joins us. It wasn't, but it's very unique. That just doesn't happen in hockey or in sports. And I think it's going to be a trend going forward. I said it the day it happened that, wow, you're going to see other teams do this. If Edmonton is sitting there and they have the greatest player in the world, then there's 11 games left and they're in a tough spot. Will they make a change to try to get McDavid to the cup? It's going to happen more and more again. Now the question becomes, will they go young with a coach from, the minors, the Silver Knights? Will they go with the veteran? I think they want another veteran coach, I would think, because this is a veteran team. But I also said before you came on, Alex, that let's trust the process. Everything that the brass has done with the Golden Knights is out in a decade.
Absolutely. And, just capping off what we were just talking about with John Tortorella, I don't even think it came to a surprise for him. I mean, he said it in a press conference a week or two ago. My deal with the Vegas Golden Knights is that I would be up in June. And so it sounded very clear from all angles. In terms of who's going to fill the role, I agree with you, JT. I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights have done nothing but win since, its inaugural season. I think Ryan Craig with the Henderson Silver Knights is a good thought. I also think some of the assistants under John Tortorella, under Bruce Cassidy, are people that should be considered. I mean, really the backbone of John Tortorella and his success was the assistant coaches, along with, his success as a head coach in the league. So I think there's going to be a number of options.
Yeah, I think Ryan Craig could be the front runner because he's not a kid. I mean, he's 44 years old, and with the Silver Knights and what he's doing, and they love him in the organization, that could be a great fit. Whatever they do, I'm just totally behind them. This is one of the few franchises that I yell and scream all the time in sports about fire the coach, fire the coach. I want Aaron Boone fired with the Yankees because the Yankees haven't won since 2009. This isn't the case. This is an organization that has been really sharp. I want to move to UFC. You were there. It looked spectacular. I went to Game 6, and when I got home, I was able to catch the last two fights. And what was it like to be on the ground in D.C. to witness this UFC card?
Yeah, JT, and the last thing quickly I'll say about Ryan Craig is that his biggest mentor is John Tortorella. So that's the type of coach, the type of culture that's going to be integrated with a guy like Ryan Craig. Anyway, let's move over to UFC. Truly once-in-a-lifetime spectacle. It was something that you could have conjured up in AI. I mean, I was talking with some of my friends who watched the fight and watched everything leading up to it. And with that super Delta formation, with the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds flying over the White House with the ring right in front of the White House, it was, from many angles, really, really an incredible scene. And the fights just kind of capped it off even more so to be an incredible event. So, from a fan perspective, I was in the fan zone, JT, talking with people from all over the world who came out to witness it. And it was really cool to hear people's different perspectives as to why they came out and what it meant to them to celebrate the 250th birthday of America in this way.
All right, so I wanted to ask you some of the logistics of it. It could have rained. I was back east at that time, and, thunderstorm threats, maybe lightning going to push it back. All of it went off beautifully. The flyover looked incredible. DC's used to big events, so they can handle the foot traffic and the transportation coming in and out, and overall, it just seemed like everybody had a really good time. In that fan zone area, if you weren't near the cage, on the White House lawn, it looked like everybody had great sight lines and could see it, hear it, sound-wise. How was that?
Yeah, and I can speak firsthand. I was in the fan zone the majority of the time, and they did a really good job of making the fights and everything very visible. They also did a really good job of celebrating our military. I thought it was super cool. All of the performances, the musical performances leading up to the fight were the military bands, and they did that was one of the most surprising, coolest things to me. Is that, I mean, they could have been opening acts for I don't know, anybody here in Vegas at the Sphere. I mean, you name it, the Eagles, whatnot. They were singing classic rock, country music, just classic American songs, and it was really cool. And fans felt the same.
All right. Lastly, I said this is the summer of Kirk Cousins. I think Cousins is the front runner to start. We all know that. That could change if someone gets banged up, someone plays poorly or not. But being around Kirk Cousins at minicamp and so far in the offseason and being at the press conferences, leave us with one thing that you've learned about Kirk Cousins and his passion for this opportunity.
I mean, one thing, that's kind of hard, JT. I think the one thing, plain and simple, is class act.
Okay.
Stand-up man, someone that is easy to get behind, someone that the Raiders and Raider Nation should definitely trust in, and someone who is going to be a leader, but also is going to know his role as well. I mean, he is going to be that more than likely QB1 guy, but he also understands what he's doing for Aiden O'Connell and what he's doing for Fernando Mendoza, the entire offense, the defense really too. I mean, it was cool hearing Max Crosby talk about what he's learned from Kirk Cousins throughout OTAs and throughout minicamp. He's just a veteran presence that I think has definitely been needed within that not only quarterback room, but for the entire team.
Great work. You do a tremendous job bringing multiple stories daily to all these different platforms. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch up with you in a few weeks.
JT, always an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Alex Eschelman, what a great job she does in town. And she was just at UFC. I was texting her to come on, and I saw some of her social media and what she was doing back in D.C. I'm like, wow. So from KTNV here in Las Vegas, she's got some really good stuff on her social media at Alex Eschelman, Eschelman. Really good to have her. Coming up next, we'll talk to Jeff Sherman, the great oddsmaker here in Vegas. Man, there's a lot to get to. We got to put a bow on the Knicks. Who made money? Who lost money? What about the Golden Knights? You know, Vegas, the casinos in the books. I'm not saying they're thrilled that Vegas lost, but they saved a lot of money. A lot of people in town bet on the Golden Knights. We'll get a Vegas gambling inside perspective coming up next, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
JT back with you. Jeff Sherman joins us, the great odds maker here in Vegas. We always love talking to him on Tuesdays. So let's get right to it. I'm sure in Vegas there was a lot of liability with the Golden Knights to win the Cup. How did that play off the ebb and flow of what happened with Vegas that seemed to have a lot of momentum when the Stanley Cup final began?
Yeah, crazy, the whole series itself. So it was a very well-handled series, game to game, a lot of support both ways, and more so on the Knights on a game-to-game basis. But like you mentioned, we always have Golden Knights liability being in town. Carolina, their odds were short all year, so it was a good position on them.
All right, what changed with the Golden Knights when you saw that from an odds perspective? Did it look like they just hit the wall, ran out of gas from the Olympics, tired legs there? Was there sharp money coming in midway through the series on the Hurricanes?
Yeah, once the goalie switch happened, they went to Bussy. Then you saw that. And I think the Knights had a lot of injuries, too, that are starting to come out today. So it really took its toll. I mean, losing William Karlsson was a big deal for the Knights. And you just saw as the series went on, the Canes looked like they got strengthened and better. And the last three games showed that. Let's get to my Knicks and how that changed. One of the hottest runs in NBA playoff franchise history, winning 15 of their last 16 games. I would assume there were a lot of Knicks fans chasing that, just thinking the Knicks were going to win every night they went out. Yeah, and congratulations to you on your Knicks, and what a run it was for them. We had a lot of Knicks support, but there were situations when people thought the Spurs were needing to win that game, and we had a lot of Spurs money, even the last game. So, you know, there were certain people that got behind the Knicks each way along the way on each game, but a very well-handled series there, two popular teams. Jeff Sherman joins us, the great odds maker. So did you notice anything unique on player props with Wemby and Brunson along the way? Because a lot of bettors don't want to bet a series, or they don't want to bet an individual game, but the props are really what they dive into. Yeah, we saw a lot on that, and a lot of Brunson's over. Brunson over, and that came in the last game most notably when he got 45. So a lot of people were rewarded there, but the popular players, like you mentioned, between Wemby and Brunson, that's where the money would show up on. Jeff Sherman joins us. Wild day yesterday, 4 soccer draws. What is that about? And tell me about the traditional soccer bettor and how you handle it at the book and how this plays out, because a lot of our listeners don't bet soccer, but they want to bet the World Cup. How's that looking? Yeah, and that's what you see. You see a lot of new people introduced into it during a World Cup, especially at this time of year when there's not too many events going on. And a wild day all around, like you mentioned. First of all, it started out with a Spain draw. Now, we had those lines up for a few months, so we had a lot of money tied up over the last few months of Spain just needing to win the game. So the book did really well when Spain drew that game, but then the 4 draws came in. And that's a second time in World Cup history, first time in the last 68 years that we had 4 draws in one day. And we had one patron that put $10 on the 4 draws, and it paid $9,814.
Incredible. Jeff Sherman is our guest from a Vegas insider from a great odds maker. So your specialty, here we go. U.S. Open at Shinnecock. I was at the last 2. I was at the Shinnecock where they were watering down the green because the balls were bouncing like off a ping pong table and they couldn't stabilize the heat index. It was really uncomfortable. And some people say it's the toughest test in all of golf. And we just had the toughest test at the Ryder Cup over at Bethpage, not too far down the road. Tell me about Shinnecock and obviously Scottie Scheffler and what he's competing for here.
Yeah, and just like you mentioned, they're already starting to water down the greens. It's supposed to be a brutal week. The winds are supposed to be really up Thursday afternoon. So if you're handicapping this, there's a draw advantage. If you have an early Thursday tee time, that's advantageous. But Scottie Scheffler is the 11-2 favorite right now. We have liability on him. He's commanding a lot of support at those higher odds than we're used to seeing him. It's followed by Rory McIlroy 11-1, Rahm and Xander Schauffele each at 16-1. Now the test that you mentioned here, put the winning score up at 1.5 under par. The last time in 2018, Brooks Koepka won here at Shinnecock at 1 over par. So you're looking at a test right around par.
And it's interesting here because a lot of bettors want to bet the winner, and they're looking for player matchups overall. But the test is so brutal there. Do a lot of bettors and yourself, and you are at Golf Odds. If you want to follow Jeff at Golf Odds, he's a tremendous follow here. When you look at the metrics and bounce back, Scottie's been struggling with that. And, getting off the tee there, the rough is significantly difficult at a U.S. Open, especially here. What's a couple of things that you look at in this field that you say this is something you have to have coming into this U.S. Open?
I think the most important thing is the approach play into the greens. Now, the fairways are a bit wider here, but it's where you're going to set yourself up on these greens. We have undulating greens here. So if you look at approach statistics, that's the most vital thing this week. And some of these golfers, too, with the wind, looking at European players that are used to playing in the wind. I'm on Fleetwood and Fitzpatrick this week, each in the 20-1 range. So guys like that can overcome these elements and play par golf. If it isn't Scottie Scheffler, who would you be on the American side trying to win the national title? I've got Russell Henley at 54-1, and that's the lowest I've found an American for myself to be interested in, and recently came off a win in Texas. He's played fabulous in the majors recently, really knocking on the door, so I like Russell Henley a lot. Thank you, Jeff. All the best. I'll be texting you throughout the U.S. Open for sure. All right, thanks, JT. Jeff Sherman, what a sharp guy he is, man. One of the best operators in towns as an odds maker. Oh, that was a good hour. Thanks to Alex Eschelman, the monologue. We just had on Jeff Sherman, and we got a busy hour coming up here as we continue on. If you want to get in, easy to do, 702-365-9200. Coming up next, Ty Butler, ESPN New York, on my Knicks. Yeah, we're doing it. You better believe it. And then at 1:30, Michael Breed. He's a great golf insider, and he's at the U.S. Open. We'll talk to him about the golf coming up here, heading into the U.S. Open and Father's Day. Live from Vegas, JT. Give us a follow on YouTube at JT the Brick.
It's the JT the Brick Show.
You just get up every day and you take one step at a time and you keep going and you show up. We have a big mountain to climb, but we're not trying to do it all in one day.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
It's really important to me that we're a gritty team, that the way that they were back in the old days. It's nothing that we say, it's what we do on the field. All the little things that win that have nothing to do with scheme.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
All right, JT, back with you as we continue on a busy day on the flagship of the Silver and Black. Ty Butler from ESPN New York is going to join us in a few minutes here. I'm still basking in the glory of my Knicks winning the NBA title. They're parade will be on Thursday, and it looks to be a monster. I got a buddy of mine who flew back just for the parade. That's not me. I like a good parade, but I'm not going to fly back for a parade in that sea of humanity and what that's going to look like. But it's going to look tremendous on TV. You know, growing up as a kid in New York, whenever there was a championship and they had the parade down the Canyon of Heroes. The Canyon of Heroes because after World War ends, the World Wars ended, they had parades down the Canyon of Heroes. When the astronauts safely returned, they came down the Canyon of Heroes. I mean, it's really special. The ticket tape parade on Wall Street with all the paper that they used to do. Now they don't use any. It's all digital. They would throw the ticker tape out the windows down on Lower Broad by Wall Street, and you just see going down towards Wall Street just a sea of paper in the air as everybody would throw paper out of the office buildings. Now office buildings don't have windows, right? There's no office buildings in Manhattan and Lower Manhattan where you can open up a window and throw out a bunch of papers for obvious reasons. So it's going to look a little bit different, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and that'll come up on Thursday. And what we're trying to do is trying to figure out clearly what is going on with the Knicks' legacy. And that's a topic I'm big on here because Ty Butler, kind enough to join us from ESPN New York, also a contributor on SNY TV. And Ty, full disclosure, I'm a diehard Knicks fan my entire life, so I'm not a journalist. I'm into this as a fan, and I've waited 53 years. Have you pinpointed the legacy play of the Knicks here as a one-time champion, rating them against other teams recently?
Yeah, it's one of the greatest runs in NBA history, JT. And that is not just prisoner of the moment. That's not just me being in New York around a bunch of Knicks fans who are going nuts. You've never seen something like this, and I don't think you can ever predict that you'll see anything like this again because factor in, as you mentioned, the drought, the 53 years of pain, of suffering, the real estate that they occupy in the biggest market. It's a hoops town, the likability of this entire group, the domination, the comeback wins, what we saw in Game 4, literally the greatest comeback in NBA history. So it's the perfect blend, I thought, of excellence at the highest level, led by a guy no one thought could ever become this good in Jalen Brunson, and to the point where I think not only is he the greatest Knick of all time, and I get that that's debatable, but he cemented himself as a Hall of Famer. And who would have thought that, JT, 4 years ago when the Knicks signed him, they were signing a Hall of Fame point guard. And so for him to lead this team to a 5-game series win over a 62-win Spurs team is just remarkable, and you just can't say enough about what this group was able to accomplish.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of the greatest runs I've ever seen because of the comebacks. And I think if people are going to be critical of the Knicks and what they were able to do, they're going to say, well, were they a flawed team because they were down by so much? They were down over 70% of the series, and then they needed these epic comebacks to come back and win. And I've been fascinated about the fact that the Spurs were so stupid with the lead, with their shot selections, that they were up 13, 15 points. They're chucking up threes and letting the Knicks back in the game. How much criticism should San Antonio get for all the mistakes they made with the lead?
Oh, listen, a lot of people after Game 2, and I understand it to some degree, had the take of, well, Dylan Harper has to have the ball more in his hands late in crunch time. And to me, while I understand Dylan Harper's projection, and he's going to be a star one day, and how awesome he was in the series, at the end of the day, you've got one of the best players in the league, a guy who people said was the best player in the league, in Wemby, coming off that Game 7 series win against OKC. And so the Nuggets would ask Jokic, go get me a bucket. The Lakers would ask Luka, go get me a bucket. Same's the deal for SGA with Oklahoma City. All the best players in the league, Giannis, go down the list, Tatum. The best player in the league has to be able to go get a bucket, and he was unable to do that in these series. And not just that, he goes from hitting every free throw, and then once it's crunch time, he's missing free throws. And so a lot of the blame has to be put on San Antonio. But here's the thing. It's similar to how, and I'm not saying the Knicks are this team that I'm going to compare them to. I just think there are some similarities. When you're watching an NFL team handle the Chiefs for 3.5 quarters, and then all of a sudden they start to make mistakes. The penalties are committed. They're turning the ball over, despite the fact that throughout the game they did a good job of taking care of the ball. And it's because they are staring across the field knowing if he gets the rock with a chance to win it, he's going to do that. And I think a lot of teams during this run, we saw it with the Cavs in the conference finals, and we saw it with San Antonio every game in this fourth quarter of this 5-game series, they knew that if the Knicks had a chance to win it late, they were drawing dead, and that spooked them. And it's why a lot of people before the series said it's an inexperienced team that you don't simply trust in these spots, and they were proven to be correct because when it came down to clutch time, they were not good enough to fend off the Jalen Brunson avalanche.
Ty D. Butler joins us. Follow him on X at TYD Butler. A great follow here. So, I think of the Warriors as I covered the Warriors dynasty on and off in the Bay Area. I won't compare this Knicks team to Curry and Durant. I'm not going to compare it to Jordan and Pippen. I can't compare it yet, nor would I to Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker. But when I look at Nikola Jokic in Denver or SGA in Oklahoma City and what we've seen with the other teams that won over the last 7 years, I think this, as we began our conversation, puts the Knicks in a pantheon of one team, one season that will make them historically. You're based in New York. You see this closely. Doing it in the number one media market in New York with the OG Anunoby tip-in, which will live forever, makes this a lot bigger because it's going to be talked about more than a Denver Nugget win. Do we remember Jokic's best shot? No. Or Murray's best shot, but we'll never forget Anunoby's tip-in. So when you look at Butler, Anunoby, Cat, and the rest of the players, I've been asking people, this is fun. These guys are made men. Mike Brown walked into a restaurant the other night, got a standing ovation for 10 minutes.
And he's doing the who let the dogs out.
Yeah.
It's so funny you mentioned that, right? Because, listen, I'm a Yankee fan, but with all due respect to them, the Giants have won a couple of Super Bowls, the Rangers in '94, nothing quite hits this city like when the Knicks are good because it's a basketball town and they occupy the most real estate. Like the Net fans, they'll have some fun, but they can't touch this Knicks foundation and this history of this franchise. And when you have a team that, if we are to be honest, I would say most Knicks fans did not expect this. Like, even if you thought they could win a championship, you certainly did not think they're going to go 16-3. Their 3 losses will be by a combined 6 points. You did not think that they were going to bludgeon a 62-win Spurs team in the finals in 5 games. And I certainly can attest to this because I took phone calls after they lost Game 3 to Atlanta. They're down 2-1, and people are telling me they should fire Mike Brown. Yep. And so and I had to level them out emotionally, but understandably, there were so high expectations, so they're living and dying with every single possession, and when the team doesn't play up to its standard, as we saw multiple times during the year, that 2-9 stretch, they were going to react accordingly. But to your point, not every championship is built equally. Like 2016 LeBron, that title in Cleveland means a hell of a lot more than what he did in LA with the Lakers and certainly what he did with Miami. This championship for Brunson and for Cat, think about it, JT, if they don't get to the finals, like there's a chance, Cat gets traded, Bridges gets traded. Like if they get clipped in round 1, dare I say, like is Mike Brown one and done? And now, like you said, he's being given a round of applause at restaurants. And so the culmination of a long year of hard work and the utter domination of it in this city is going to be nothing like you've ever seen before.
Ty D. Butler, as we wrap it up, ESPN New York. For a month on this show and my other platforms, I've told everybody I've apologized. At no point did I think Mike Brown deserved an interview. Didn't think he deserved an interview. You get fired from Sacramento, you don't become the head coach of the Knicks, replacing Tom Thibodeau. You go to New Orleans, Memphis, you get another job, or you just do what Mike Brown historically did, just become a bench coach. He was a great bench coach in San Antonio, Warriors, and all that. But this was his moment, and I really think he made the adjustments, and he would have gotten fired if he would have lost to Atlanta. No doubt he would have gotten fired. He couldn't have survived in New York with the New York media if he didn't get by Atlanta. And look at, we've seen what this team could do. I want to end with James Dolan. As I'm based in Vegas, and he built the Sphere, which is the wonder of the world now. It's the greatest concert venue in the world by a mile. And Dolan was losing a lot of money when he was building it. You know, that thing did not come in close to budget, and there were rumors. Would he sell the Rangers? Would he have to, borrow against the Knicks and do all this? And I saw a speech that he gave, and I'm sure you have, that he told them they had 10 weeks to go. It was excellent. And his speech when he won the title, holding the trophy, was good. Is there any way for James Dolan to turn his image around? Because fans have despised him for decades. The Charles Oakley banning him from the Garden. I think this is a special moment for Dolan, and I want to give him his proper credit.
Yeah, and it's also the times where, like, he did the Woody Johnson and had too much input, where it's like, allow the guys that you paid to do the job to actually do the job. And he tried it, Phil Jackson, and that obviously was a disaster. But I don't know, and I obviously can't speak for the Knicks fan base, but, I talked to a lot of them, that he will be able to completely change his reputation, because when you go through the list of guys who they think deserve the most credit for it, it's Brunson, it's Brown, Cat. Like, you're going to just continue to go down that list further down until you get to James Dolan. But what I will say, you saw the star power of, like, the former Knicks players that were at these games on the road. And I think that stuff is important, man. Like, as much as we rip them, these former players seem to love them. And that community, that camaraderie, I thought helped this team mature and become the championship squad that they became. And for Knicks fans to look at this team now hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy, it's hard to now despise him as much as you once did. And so I think everything in its totality is going to work in his favor. But, obviously there's still going to be people who don't like Dolan.
My first time talking to you, give our audience a little backstory on how you got in the business.
Well, I actually produced your shows a couple times at SiriusXM. So I do know you from back then. I was a producer at first at ESPN New York and at SiriusXM. And since then, I've graduated to hosting. I'm on TV now at SNY. And it's been fun, man. It's been a lot of fun. So I really appreciate you bringing me on the show. This means a lot. And I hope we can do it again sometime soon.
We will do it. Outstanding. Appreciate it very much. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, man. Have a good one.
All right. Ty D. Butler. First time interviewing him. And nice to have a conversation with him overall. Really cool. Appreciate that. Really nice conversation. He's right there in New York as the Knicks are preparing for their parade on Thursday. It truly is. And look, it's only Tuesday, right? We did this Monday, Tuesday. Knicks won late Saturday night. So we've done 2 days. The parade's on Thursday. I'm sure I'll have some parade sound. When you look at sports and you wonder about sports and how teams win, a lot of times, it's no surprise. Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls. A couple of them were a surprise, especially when Brady started, his first one. But once Brady started rolling, it was no surprise Tom Brady or Joe Montana or Patrick Mahomes were in the Super Bowl and they were going to win. No surprise. And the Knicks were built to win eventually, but the way they did it and how they did it was a bit of a surprise. Really unique how they did it. And I think that's why this team will be remembered. They got a couple of big things going for them. What they have going for them is they're in the number one media market, New York. Just bigger media, bigger population. Number 2, they had a 53-year drought. So when you have a drought that long, it matters even more, right? And then they have stories, great storylines about the Villanova 4. Jalen Brunson, the little guy, the tiny guy who's going up against Wemby. There are so many storylines that we're seeing here with the Knicks that it's going to last forever. It is. And no disrespect to Denver or Oklahoma City or some of these other teams that have won. We've had a different winner for the last 7 years. It doesn't equal New York. It doesn't. Just like when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Eagles are bigger. You know, the Eagles won and Philadelphia exploded. They got more attention. Let's get out to Robert in Portland. Robert, always good to hear from you. How are you?
You know, I really am happy for you because 53 years is it's a hell of a long time. I like Rose. You know, the guy that he's the architect. I watched those trades when Portland got rid of Hart, and you know, I knew he was a dog. You know, you could just see it when he's playing with Portland and the Lakers and New Orleans. Anyway, I just think one thing: if the Knicks are going to continue this, and I think they have a chance to do it because Brunson is the real deal and the Villanova connection is great. But you think Giannis is going to get approached, or do you think that's an impossible trade to pull off?
For the Knicks?
Right.
Yeah. I think Giannis has got to be in play. I wouldn't break up the Knicks, but I don't think the Knicks are good enough to be a dynasty. Giannis, I'm not going to call him a once-in-a-generation player because we saw Durant and LeBron played recently in this generation, and we've got SGA and Nikola Jokic, who's won multiple MVPs. But if you get a chance to get Giannis Antetokounmpo in his prime, I don't care if you're the Warriors, the Lakers, or the Knicks. You got to explore the opportunity to make that move. And I think we're going to see that here, but I don't think it'll be the Knicks. I don't think that he wants to go to the Knicks. I think he'd probably be a better fit playing in Miami with no state taxes to go down there still with Pat Riley involved in ownership and running their organization. I think that's the best fit for him. And I expect the Warriors. I really expect Steph Curry to get on a private jet. Like remember when Robert recruited Kevin Durant in the Hamptons and they had Clay?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that. I wouldn't be surprised if Steph Curry got Draymond on a private jet with Joe Lacob and flew out to Giannis and said, we want you to be a Warrior and we can pull it off. It's going to be fun to see where he makes a decision, but he's done in Milwaukee.
Defense is the key to the Knicks, I think. Mike Brown, that's one thing he's a good coach of, and that's defense, and he's learned that over the years. I would just hate to see them. You know, DiVincenzo, I kind of feel bad for him because he got sent off to Minnesota, you know, because he was part of that Villanova connection. But I just think Rose did a hell of a job building that team.
Yeah, he did. Appreciate it. Rose has done a great job. The brass of the Knicks overall building that team. And remember, we just had a guest on, Ty D. Butler, who reminded everybody that Mike Brown could have got fired. Mike Brown could have got fired after they lost to Atlanta. They were down 2-1 to Atlanta. I thought they were going to come back and beat Atlanta, but you never know. You never know at that point, and they did. And that changes everything. If the Knicks would have got beat by the Atlanta Hawks, I don't think they were going to get beat by Philly. If they lost to the Hawks when they were down 2-1, we never, ever see this team again. They break it up. They dismantle it from the coach. They only keep Brunson and maybe a couple other players, and then I think they go all in on Giannis. I really do. It's amazing what can happen quickly. Mike from New Jersey is on the line. Hello, Mike. Thank you.
Hey, JT, long time no talk. First of all, congratulations on your 30 years. I know you celebrated that a week ago, so congratulations on that. Listen, big Knicks fan. I'm going to be there Thursday at the parade. It was just something special to watch, especially celebrating with my son the other night. It's just the way we took care of Wemby. I just got sick and tired of him. You know, with the elbows and the pushing and, you know, whatever it is he did. But, you know, it's a great win. It's a special win. It's a special team. So I'm so excited for that. And hopefully, you know, this can do the same.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, man. I hope, thanks for calling in. Appreciate the compliment. And look, the Raiders are trying to do what the Knicks did. They are. Everybody's trying to do what the Knicks do. Every team in sports is trying to tinker with their roster, bring in free agents, trade draft picks, and build chemistry to go out and win. And it's so hard to do. Is France going to score here? What a save by Senegal. Oh, my God. It's in the 56th minute. There is no score between Senegal and France. which Senegal's good, but they're not as good as France. France could be a favorite to win this. What a soccer game, which is on Fox, live from MetLife in New Jersey, right out of New York City, home of the Giants and the Jets. And France is on the heavy offensive here, trying to score with Mbappe. Mbappe had a breakaway. He was clear, and he just kicked it right at the goalie. Wow, really surprised by that. Arguably the best player in the world had a shot at a goal, and he just gaffed it. And he knows that he's got his hands on his head. All right, when we come back, we'll talk more about what's happening in the world of Knicks and the Golden Knights. The breaking news today in Vegas, John Tortorella, not fired, just not renewed. A lot of people in media know what that means. You weren't fired, you just weren't renewed, your contract. You're not fired, but they just don't want you back. And that's what happens from time to time. Michael Breed will give us coverage of the U.S. Open golf. Hey, Vegas is a golf town, man. A lot of golf. Some of the best golf courses in America are right here in Las Vegas.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Hurts, he's looking left. Pressure, pockets, hit from behind. Crosby the sack. A coverage sack, to say the least. He had time to throw as Crosby flies over to the Raiders sideline. His 10th sack of the year, and the Eagles are going to settle for a field goal opportunity.
All right, a Crosby sack. Max was at the UFC fight. You know, I love Max. I'll be emceeing his event coming up here for his foundation later on this month. And, you know, anybody who's given Max or anybody grief for going to the White House to see UFC when they're diehard UFC fans are politically triggered people. I mean, look, you know, I've been doing this a long time. I don't care who goes to the White House or not. I have never woken up a day in my life and cared who a politician was, a day in my life. But some people freak out about it. And Max is a big boy. And Max is allowed to get on a private jet and go support his great friend, not good friend, great friend, Dana White, and one of the best UFC cards that you could imagine. It was absolutely fascinating for people who went. So I'm looking around here, and I'm looking at Max's social media and trying to figure all this out here, and I avoid it. I avoid it because it's just, all of us listen to sports not to talk politics. We want to get away from it. I've done this a long time. I make sure that you don't know who I vote for. You think you do. You don't know. You have no idea. Zero. You can guess all you want. But when it comes to being rational and having opinions on sports, when politics gets involved in sports, then I comment on it. All of a sudden you see a bunch of baseball players getting accused of taking steroids, and they're under oath in front of Congress. Oh, then I'll talk about it, right? That's politics in sports. Or we're seeing now this big story with Sorsby, the quarterback of Texas Tech, and the fact that he admittedly gambled as he was a member of Indiana, and he gambled a lot. And he's not going to be able to play college football again, and he shouldn't be able to. But he's going to be able to go out in the supplemental draft and go out there and have an opportunity to play in the pros. I'm fine with that. It's okay. He made mistakes. He got kicked out of college technically for gambling. That is an awful thing to do. You cannot do that on any level. He did. Now his world is upside down, but he gets another shot. He didn't break the law per se with a heinous crime, and he's a young man. He's going to get another opportunity to go out there and have a career. But it's a huge topic in sports right now. I mean, just tremendously huge. And I'm going to talk to Bill Krackomberger. I'm reaching out to a couple other people on this topic overall because everybody thinks it's a huge topic because a quarterback was gambling a lot. It is a big topic. What's 10 times or 100 times bigger are all the young men, and there's a few women, but it's mostly men, young men in their 20s who are gambling out of control legally with sports gaming apps. France just scored. Beautiful goal. France just scored. Finally, France scores. They've been pushing it. Was that Mbappe? I think it was Mbappe. I'll double check here. Beautiful goal here. So France is on the board at MetLife as we continue on. Yeah. Mbappe scores, and France goes up 1-0 on Senegal in the 65th minute as we're able to do that. Now, I was born and raised in Long Island, New York. I've attended Shinnecock several times for the U.S. Open. Michael Breed, host of A New Breed of Golf, and he covers the U.S. Open, and we appreciate it on U.S. Open Radio. So, Michael, I'm hearing weather is a concern. It could be a concern at Bethpage. It could be a concern out east on Long Island. Tell me about Thursday and weather concerns already ahead of the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you're at Shinnecock, there are no trees, by the way. I mean, I don't know when you played there last, but there were some. There aren't any anymore. And so what happens is when the wind blows, it really blows. And out there on Thursday, they're expecting the wind gusts between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock to get upwards of 50 miles an hour. If that happens, they'll have to shut down. There's no way that you can play with 50-mile-an-hour gusts. It'll move the ball around on the greens no matter what the green speeds are. And so my expectation is if that holds true, and we still have some time, but if it holds true, they'll have to shut down play right around that 3 o'clock if that's true. But regardless, the winds are going to be 25, 30 miles an hour with the gusts up to 50. If that happens, it's just going to be an impossible day. If the gusts don't get to 50, if it gets to 40, you still might see a shutdown. So there's a little uncertainty, and that uncertainty I think is going to make Thursday and certainly Friday extremely challenging because those players that aren't able to finish round one are going to have to finish round one on day two and then try to finish round two. It could be a really, really challenging couple of days, those first 2 days.
Michael Breed is our guest, SiriusXM course record. I'm fascinated by this topic, and you know this as good as anyone. I was at a U.S. Open at Bethpage where it poured, but Lucas Glover went out before the rain, and on the second day went out after the rain, missed all the bad weather, ended up winning a U.S. Open. Can you talk about weather and weather delays? Because we understand you could stop golfing when it's pouring rain and the weather's going sideways, but when does it get to a point where the officials on the scene say 20 miles an hour you can play, 31 maybe, and then we shut it down because people are like, wait, it's not raining, there's not lightning there, but you're going to shut it down for wind?
Well, here's the deal. So if the ball is oscillating when the player is trying to hit it, that is when the committee or the USGA in this particular case will shut things down. Now, you start to think about the last time that the U.S. Open was out at Bethpage. That was back in 2018. We obviously remember that Brooks Koepka won that. What many people don't remember is that Tommy Fleetwood, on that very same day, on Sunday, he went out and shot 63 at Shinnecock. And what they did was the weather was completely different from the morning to the afternoon, and it was very, very gettable. The golf course got a little bit firm. The winds picked up a little bit in the afternoon, and all of a sudden, Koepka, who shot 68 in that final round, almost lapped the field at 68. He ended up getting in at +1 with a bogey at the last. But my point is, to the point that you raised, conditions in an outdoor sport can change dramatically, and different. The game of golf, different from any other sport, they play all day, and it can be really nice in the morning and really bad in the afternoon, or vice versa. And if you're in the good wave, it can be a real benefit, and if you're in the bad wave, it can be a real problem.
So I love legacy, and that's what I'm a big fan of. Two things, because I'm a fan, and I cover the sport a lot, but I'm not a journalist. I root for American golfers on American soil. I don't root for the Euros and the Ryder Cups. Sorry, I'm not a Rory guy. I go American. And most people understand that because I'm a fan. And Scottie's going for the career Grand Slam, and it looks like he could get that here pretty quickly. But I know his bounce-back numbers are trailing off badly for this year. He's chirping at his caddy. visibly. He looks more frustrated, as I saw Brandel Chambly talk about it on Golf Channel. And I'm just wondering overall, do you think his mental mindset is locked in? And is this course a course that he's not going to dominate, but it sets up well for him?
Well, here's the thing. Every golf course sets up well for Scottie Scheffler, first and foremost. Second thing is that if you just looked at the year that he's having without looking at Scottie Scheffler atop that page, but just look at the year that he's orchestrating, it's pretty impressive. I mean, he's already got a win, which is impressive in and of itself. Now, last year he won 6 times, so you're comparing last year to this year. It's going to fail ridiculously, but he has 3 second-place finishes, 2 thirds, and 7 top 10s in 12 starts. Right, so it's pretty damn good. The problem is there are a couple of areas, and I saw what you talked about with Brandel with the bounce back stat. Right, he makes a bogey, then he makes a birdie. Last year it was really, really good. This year it's not so good. But there are some other inherent problems that are going on with Scottie that he's been battling, and I'm going to get to this one point about where he is this week in a second. But last year, from the categories of 150 to 175, that's yards from the hole, he was second on the tour. This year he's 33rd. Last year from 175 to 200. So the majority of the approach shots they're going to have outside of wedges are going to be from 150 to 200. Last year from 175 to 200, he was 11th. So between those two, he was second and 11th. This year, he's 81st between 175 and 200. He's not hitting his irons as close as he was hitting it last year. And as a result, when he's hitting it to the areas that he's hitting it in, now all of a sudden you've got longer putts. And just statistically, when you have longer putts, you're not going to make as many. And that's what's going on. Now, here's what I will tell you. Randy Smith, who was his coach, had been a longtime coach of Scottie since Scottie was 6 years of age. I know Randy a long time, and I can tell you what Randy told me is that when Scottie came off the course yesterday, Randy asked him, "How you doing?" And he goes, "I'm dialed in. I got it." Now, Scottie's not one of those guys that's going to say something like that. Scottie tells you he's dialed in. He's got control over his golf ball. That's fantastic. Now, let me tell you a couple other things that make it like Scottie is going to be the guy to watch, not just because he's chasing the career Grand Slam, and not just because he's the best player on the planet, and not just because he's playing really good, though he only has 1 win. He played growing up in Texas. Texas is windy. This guy is not afraid of wind conditions. And when you ask him to be creative and flight golf balls down and hold shots up against wind and work winds like that, this guy is one of the very, very best. And so when the guy tells me he's playing good, I know he's putting well, his swing is on form. This guy is the guy to beat without question, and I'm not worried about him this week.
Wow, Michael Breed, what a great conversation. SiriusXM, a new breed of golf, also CBS Sports. Last one. Rory decided to shut it down, play in tournaments. He went to Augusta. Not criticized for it, but he had the wherewithal to take Poppy to school, play 18, and fly home. Not many golfers can do that except the elite ones. Are you hearing of any golfers who just shut it down and went to Shinnecock and said, I'm just going to play on the eastern edge of Long Island and dial in and really focus like Koepka, Rory? Did other golfers do this?
Not the way Rory did it at Augusta National and the Masters. I can promise you that. What I can tell you is the number of players have gone to Shinnecock in between tournaments. Look, you know this. You're out there in Long Island. You're from out there. It's not exactly an easy place to get to.
No.
And when you get out there, it's impossible to move around. Augusta National and Augusta as a whole is very, very different. It doesn't have, while it has that attention during the week, it's not a destination place like the Hamptons are in, May, June, July, August, right? So when you start to think about the challenge to get to Augusta versus the challenge to get to East Hampton or the fashionable Hamptons, as I like to call them, it's a completely different scenario. And so when I look at what Rory did, like his whole thing is that major championship. He achieved his career Grand Slam. He's fine. He's going to be good, and he's going to play whenever he wants to play. The guy's got all the money. He's in great shape. Scottie Scheffler is a lot younger. He is obviously chasing the career Grand Slam, but it's not really, I think, on his mind. I do think he's prepared. I do think that he would have stopped in and played. There are other players that have done it, but they haven't spent a week there. They've come out there in between a tournament. Michael Brennan, who's a name that you might not be familiar with, he's a guy you will be familiar with. He will be a guy that in the next 5 years will emerge as one of the great players on the PGA Tour. Tons of clubhead speed. I spoke to Michael prior to this week out there at the Hamptons. He went out there. He played a practice round out there on a Sunday in between tournaments when he missed a cut, and he went back to the city, and then he flew back to the tournament that he was going to go play in. That's what these players will do for Shinnecock. They'll go out there, they'll be out there a couple of days, and then that's it. It won't be quite what Rory did, but they are going to be prepared. Look, it's a U.S. Open, it's a National Open, it's a major championship, and Shinnecock is one of the great tests in all of professional golf.
Michael, in addition to all this, you're a great instructor. Technology has helped me off the tee. I kind of hit it straight. I got a little bit of a fade. When my irons are dialed in, I have the right iron. I think I can get to the green. Technology has saved me. But, oh, my God, if I'm hitting a wedge from 100 to 110, I'm good. You put me 30, 28 yards, 41, I'm a mess. Fix me, because I'm chunky monkey at times. I don't know if it's the deceleration, if it's the quarter, three-quarter instead of the full swing. I don't know really the 56 to the 60. I'm 30 yards out. I got to look at the pin. I'm not hitting over a bunker. Fix me with my footwork, my shoulders on how just to get it up on the middle of the green, please.
This is easy. All right, here's the deal. Get your 56-degree wedge, not your 60-degree wedge. Visualize a low shot. It's going to be a little bit back. Weight's going to be a little bit forward. And then here's the deal. When you mentioned this chunky monkey, you also mentioned deceleration. Those things kind of run hand in hand. What you've got to do is you've got to imagine your left shoulder's like a door. I assume you're a right-handed golfer.
Yes, right-handed, yes.
So what I want you to do, whenever you take the club back, and I don't want you to worry about how far you take it back. I want you, look, you're just trying to get it on the green right now, right? You're trying to, let's not embarrass ourselves. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the club back, and then all I want you to do is take your left shoulder and put it behind your neck. That's all I want you to do. You take the club back however far you take it back, put your left shoulder behind your neck. That will rotate your chest through. It'll drag the club. You'll make a good strike. The ball will take off. You'll get it on the green. You'll develop some confidence, and eventually it close to the hole.
You are fabulous. I talk to the biggest insiders in golf. I hope to talk to you much more. Thanks so much for doing this.
Anytime. Have a great day. Enjoy the Open.
You got it. There he is. How about that? That's a really good, fun interview. Michael Breed, he's a great golf instructor, and he's a good insider, and he's got a big show on SiriusXM. Yeah, that's Colin. That's my issue. I just played golf. I didn't play much on this last trip. I hit it pretty good. I'm a punching. I can get it down the middle, not long, but I'm okay. I got some energy behind it. If I'm in the middle of the fairway, I can get a 4, 5, 6, 7 iron to the green, depending on where it is. But the short chip. So a lot of times I'll putt if I'm 10 yards off. Or what I'm doing now is I'm hitting an 8 iron bump and run, because when I take that wedge and I try to get the ball up in the air, it's in the back bunker. Or I could scull it over, and I've been working on this for years. And every time I go there, it puts me in harm's way.
No, I know what you mean. I'm a taller guy, so I'm constantly fighting that battle of trying to keep my hips low to make sure I can strike the ball and hit it full on. I hate when I top the ball and it just rolls 3 or 4 or 5 feet in front of me. It's the worst feeling. I was trying to do what Michael was saying. I wasn't sure if he meant maybe
when
get
he
his
said to
right
get my
shoulder back?
left shoulder behind my neck, I was like, "Is that? Whoa, that's
a contortion."
That is. You're a big guy. How far can you hit it off the tee?
I'm probably right now hitting anywhere from around 250, 270.
Nice. That's a big swing. All right. We'll wrap it up on the other side. We loaded up with some really good guests today. Final thoughts if you want to get in, 702-365-9200. Have you been to Findlay Volvo Cars on the 215? Have you been there? It's unbelievable. It's right across the freeway from UFC World Headquarters. Mike runs the store, the dealership. It's gorgeous. You need a new vehicle. Test drive a Volvo. Their EVs, their crossovers. I think you'll love it. Go Go check it out. They are proud partners of our show.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
It's dumped in with 10 seconds to go. On the Carolina bench, they are embracing, jumping, and hugging one another as the clock runs out on 2026. The Stanley Cup championship goes to the Carolina Hurricanes. They defeat the Golden Knights in shutout fashion, 3-0. Brandon Bussey earns the shutout in his third straight win. And the Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup for the second time in franchise history.
That's our great broadcaster, Dan Duva, on Golden Knights Radio. I mean, Bussey gets a shutout at the Fortress? Really? I mean, come on. Didn't score a goal in an elimination game. John Tortorella not back. That was announced today. Big breaking news. France leads Senegal now 2-0 in the 85th minute, so they'll win. And Mbappe scored. But for the Golden Knights to get eliminated on their home ice, if it was 3-2, 5-4, whatever it is, I could handle that a little bit better than a 3-0 shutout. That is shocking to me. It is, especially with all the goal scorers that they have. So with the coaching decision made today, we're going to follow this story closely. Keep it also to our sister station, Fox Sports Radio, on the news and everything that's happening here with hockey. A boxing writer and longtime friend of the show, Dan Rayfield, reports Floyd Mayweather faces 2 felony charges accusing him of theft and passing a bad check for $200,000 to buy a watch. Dan wrote, extreme irony here given that he grossed about $1.2 billion in his career and spent years bragging how great of a businessman he was. How pathetic. I got a chance to go to pretty much every one of Floyd Mayweather's fights in Las Vegas. Every one. Okay, we were credentialed ringside, and Floyd won all those fights. He was undefeated. He's a brilliant boxer, arguably the greatest boxer of all time. His fights were not entertaining because he would get the lead because he was so good in box and never knock anybody out or tried to. Not never, but he just protected his brain, protected his body, and once he was up 6-0 in every fight, there was no way he was going to lose. And what can you do? All he did was win. But I said from early on, interviewing him and seeing his conduct in Vegas, that eventually he would go broke. And a lot of boxers go broke. But Floyd got to the point where he was making so much money that it's almost impossible to go broke. So covering boxing throughout my career and talking to Bert Sugar when he was alive and interviewing Kevin Iole and all the great boxing insiders, I've often asked, why do boxers go broke? They typically go broke, number one, taxes. They don't pay their taxes. They make hundreds of millions of dollars or millions, and after they pay their promoter, and several promoters rip off the boxers and rip them off, they only have a certain amount of money, and it's a lot, but they don't pay their taxes. And eventually they go bankrupt because they never paid their taxes and they don't have the cash or the liquidity to pay their taxes. Number two, drugs and alcohol. Boxers historically have drug and alcohol problems, and it leads to a variety of mistakes they make in their life financially. So number one is taxes. Number two is drugs and alcohol. And then the third one is, unfortunately, brain disease. CTE. They box. They've been boxing since they were kids. They take so many hits to the brain that I've talked to so many boxers over the decades that know me and then didn't recognize me 2 years later because of what they were going through. And that cost a lot of money for health care, and they make mistakes, and their family rips them off. So Floyd Mayweather, I think Floyd Mayweather, the richest boxer ever by a long shot, will eventually have no money. He will have none. And he will have to sell his watches and his diamond rings and everything to pay Uncle Sam. And for Dan Rayfield talking about him, and this is Dan Rayfield, this isn't me. I'm not saying I know this story, I'm just reading this off X, that he passed some bad checks. We'll see where this goes from here, but am I shocked? No, I'm not shocked. Thanks to Colin for producing the show. Outstanding job today. Alex Eschelman joined us coming off the UFC fight. She was fantastic. Jeff Sherman was excellent, the great oddsmaker who jumped in. Ty Butler from ESPN New York on the Knicks and what the Knicks are doing. And Michael Breed, who just joined us from A New Breed of Golf, was brilliant. Colin shaking his head with me. What a guest he was, breaking down the U.S. Open out at Shinnecock. Q's coming up next. Always listen to his show. If you miss any portion of the show, it is at lvsportsnetwork.com. You can go to the YouTube page right here of Raider Nation Radio and follow us in a lot of different ways coming forward. I got a big meeting today here that I'm jumping out to, and then I'm on tonight for 4 hours. We move up an hour tonight because Christopher Mad Dog Russo, who is the name of the channel, he's out at Shinnecock, and they asked me to pick up an hour, and I said I would love to. So I will pick up another hour tonight and do 4 with some World Cup news. I love the World Cup. France is going to beat Senegal here. There's 8 minutes in stoppage time, but they're up 2-0. Senegal kind of pulled the goalie. They just have everybody up there trying to chaos score a goal here that could help them with differential down the road. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. We always appreciate you listening. We'll keep it here for any Raiders breaking news, and we'll have a lot to say. I'll tell you about that Raiders draft class luncheon featuring 4 rookies, including Fernando Mendoza, Monday at Allegiant Stadium. Enjoy the day. Thank you.